Alert Watch YT is now activating emergency broadcast coverage. This is a level 4 volcanic eruption alert for the island of Luzon in the Republic of the Philippines. We are tracking an explosive eruptive event at Mayon Volcano, designated by the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, known as PHIVOLCS, as a major eruptive episode producing pyroclastic density currents, a sustained volcanic ash column, and significant lahar threat across multiple provinces. This is not a drill. This is not a precautionary advisory. This is an active, ongoing, confirmed explosive eruption at one of the most dangerous and historically destructive volcanoes in Southeast Asia. If you are in Albay Province, Camarines Sur, or surrounding areas of the Bicol Region, stop what you are doing and listen carefully. Every word of what follows may directly affect your safety and the safety of your family. The time of confirmed eruption onset is marked at the top of this broadcast hour. PHIVOLCS has raised the alert level to Alert Level 4 on the 5-tier Philippine Volcanic Alert System. Alert Level 4 means that a hazardous eruption is imminent, is already underway, or has already produced life-threatening flows and ballistic projectile hazards within defined danger zones. The Permanent Danger Zone, the PDZ, extending 6 kilometers from Mayon's summit crater has already been breached by pyroclastic flow activity. In some flow channels, pyroclastic density currents are being reported at distances reaching 8 to 10 kilometers from the crater summit. We are going to walk you through this crisis with precise data, geographic specificity, timeline projections, and the exact steps you need to take right now. Stay on this broadcast, do not leave this channel. The next 20 minutes of information could be the most important you receive today. Again, Alert Level 4 is now in effect at Mayon Volcano. Pyroclastic flows are active. Ash cloud heights are extreme. Lahar generation is confirmed in multiple river systems. Mandatory evacuation orders have been issued for barangays and municipalities throughout Albay Province. We are Alert Watch YT. We are here to get you through this. Let's begin. Segment 2. Volcanological Setup and Data. Let us establish the complete scientific picture of what is happening at Mayon Volcano right now so that every piece of actionable information that follows makes complete sense to you. Mayon Volcano is located at approximately 13.254 degrees north latitude and 123.685 degrees east longitude, rising to a summit elevation of 2,462 meters, that is approximately 8,077 feet above mean sea level. It sits at the southern end of Albay Province in the Bicol Region of southeastern Luzon Island. Mayon is classified as a stratovolcano, a steep-sided, symmetrically conical volcano built from alternating layers of hardened lava, compacted ash, and volcanic rock. This structural type is known for producing violent, explosive eruptions rather than slow lava flows, and Mayon's eruptive history confirms this pattern with devastating consistency. Mayon has erupted approximately 51 times since its first recorded eruption in 1616, making it one of the most historically active volcanoes in the entire Philippine archipelago. Its deadliest eruption on record occurred in 1814, when the pyroclastic flows, superheated ground-hugging avalanches of gas, ash, and volcanic debris buried the town of Cagsawa and killed over 1,200 people. The ruins of the Cagsawa church bell tower remain a monument to that destruction. In 1993, a sudden eruption killed 77 people, many of whom were within what authorities believed were safe distances. Mayon does not give generous warnings. That is why Alert Level 4 demands immediate action. Now to the current eruptive data. PHIVOLCS seismograph networks registered a sharp increase in volcanic tremor beginning approximately 18 to 24 hours prior to the current major eruptive episode. Tremor amplitude increased from low-frequency background noise consistent with magma movement to high-frequency signals consistent with rapid conduit pressurization. This was accompanied by increased sulfur dioxide emission rates measured in tons per day exceeding threshold values that PHIVOLCS as precursory indicators of imminent explosive activity. Sulfur dioxide flux measurements reached values in the range of 3,000 to 5,000 tons per day in the hours preceding major explosion, a dramatic and dangerous spike compared to baseline readings from recent weeks. The initial explosive eruption generated an ash column rising to an estimated height of 15 to 20 kilometers above the crater rim, that is 15,000 to 20,000 meters or approximately 9 to 12 miles into the atmosphere. To put that in perspective, commercial aircraft cruise at altitudes of 9 to 12 kilometers. This ash column has penetrated the troposphere and reached into the lower stratosphere. Volcanic material ejected into the stratosphere can remain suspended for weeks and travel intercontinental distances carried on jet stream wind patterns. At this column height, we classify this as a sub-Plinian to Plinian eruption event. Eruptions of this intensity are rated on the Volcanic Explosivity Index, or VEI, and this activity is consistent with a VEI 4 to VEI 5 event. For reference, the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens in Washington State, USA was classified as a VEI 5 event. The 1991 eruption of nearby Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines, which caused global temperature drops and affected weather patterns worldwide, was a VEI 6. We are not at Pinatubo levels, but this eruption is in a class of extreme violence. The eruptive column's behavior is being closely tracked by multiple monitoring systems. The Himawari 9 geostationary satellite operated by the Japan Meteorological Agency is providing full-disk imagery every 10 minutes and rapid scan imagery every 2.5 minutes over the Southeast Asian region. Its infrared and visible light sensors are tracking ash cloud dispersion with remarkable precision. Additionally, ground-based Doppler radar systems at Legazpi City and data feeds from the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration (PAGASA) are contributing to real-time volcanic plume tracking. Wind shear analysis from upper atmospheric observation data indicates that prevailing winds at the 200 to 300 hectopascal pressure level, the upper troposphere to lower stratosphere, are carrying the primary ash cloud on a west-southwest to southwest trajectory at approximately 45 to 65 kilometers per hour. This means the highest altitude ash is being transported toward the interior of Luzon, with secondary transport branches curving southward toward the Visayas region depending on altitude band. At lower altitudes, the 500 to 700 hectopascal level, roughly 3,000 to 5,000 meters above sea level, winds are more variable, ranging from easterly to northeasterly at 20 to 35 kilometers per hour. This multi-level wind shear is creating a complex ash dispersal pattern that affects different communities in different ways simultaneously. Surface winds at Mayon's base are currently measured at 15 to 25 kilometers per hour from the east-northeast, which is critically important because it is pushing ground-level ashfall predominantly westward and southwestward, directly toward population centers including Legazpi City, Daraga, Camalig, Guinobatan, Ligao City, and Oas. We will address each of those communities in detail momentarily. Seismic monitoring stations surrounding Mayon are recording continuous volcanic tremor with a dominant frequency of 1.0 to 1.5 Hz, consistent with sustained conduit fluid movement. In plain terms, magma is continuing to rise and feed the surface eruption. Additionally, discrete high-frequency volcano-tectonic earthquakes, the type generated by rock fracturing ahead of or around moving magma, are being detected at rates of 20 to 40 events per hour. This seismicity profile indicates that the eruption is not winding down. It is active and sustained. Tilt meters deployed on Mayon's flanks are recording continued inflationary ground deformation, meaning the volcano's edifice is still being pressurized from below. Deflation at the summit is expected to begin once the eruption releases sufficient stored energy, but as of this broadcast, summit deflation has not yet been confirmed. This means the volcano has more eruptive energy to release. PHIVOLCS has noted that the current eruptive episode is being fed by a relatively fresh, gas-rich magma batch that penetrated into the shallow conduit system in the weeks preceding this event. The high gas content of this magma is directly responsible for the explosive violence of the eruption. Dissolved gases expand violently as magma rises and pressure decreases, fragmenting the molten rock into fine ash and propelling it skyward with enormous force. In summary, the volcanological data paints an unambiguous picture. Mayon Volcano is in the midst of a sustained, violent, explosive eruption. The system that is driving it remains pressurized. The eruption has not peaked. The situation may worsen before it stabilizes. Every decision made in the affected communities in the next 12 to 24 hours must be made with this scientific reality as the foundation. Segment 3, Regional Impact Details. We are now going to move through the affected regions with geographic and demographic precision. If your community is named in this segment, listen closely. We will tell you exactly what you are facing and how severe the threat is at your location. The epicenter of this crisis is Albay Province in Region 5, the Bicol Region of the Philippines. Albay Province has a total population of approximately 1.37 million people as of the most recent national census data. Every one of those residents is currently in a province where a major eruption is actively underway. But the threat is not uniform across the province. It varies dramatically based on proximity to the volcano, topography, wind direction, and the specific volcanic hazard type we are discussing. Let us go zone by zone. Legazpi City, population approximately 207,000 to 215,000. Legazpi City is the provincial capital of Albay and is located approximately 15 to 17 kilometers southeast of Mayon's summit crater. It is Albay's most populous urban center and its primary economic hub. At this distance, Legazpi is outside the permanent danger zone but is squarely within the extended danger zone, which PHIVOLCS has expanded to a radius of 8 kilometers for the current event, with directed hazard zones extending further in specific flow channels. The primary immediate hazard for Legazpi City in this event is volcanic ashfall. Given current wind direction from the east-northeast at the surface, ash is being transported westward and southwestward. However, Legazpi's position to the southeast means it will receive ashfall from shifting upper-level plume dispersion, particularly as wind patterns rotate through the day-night cycle. Ash accumulation in Legazpi City is projected at 3 to 7 centimeters within the next 12 hours, with the possibility of reaching 10 to 15 centimeters if eruption intensity maintains current levels. What does 3 to 7 centimeters of ash accumulation mean in practical terms? It means rooftop structural loads increase dramatically, particularly on older or lighter construction homes. Volcanic ash is not like snow. It does not compress easily, it is heavy, and it does not melt away. 1 centimeter of fresh, uncompacted volcanic ash weighs approximately 10 kilograms per square meter. 3 centimeters equals 30 kilograms per square meter. 7 centimeters equals 70 kilograms per square meter. Roofs that are compromised by age, previous damage, or lightweight construction materials are at real risk of collapse under these loads. Legazpi City residents must take this seriously. Ashfall in Legazpi will ground all commercial and private aviation at Legazpi Airport, which is already confirmed closed, clog drainage systems increasing flood risk during rainfall, coat road surfaces making them dangerously slippery, disrupt power distribution infrastructure, and create severe respiratory hazard, particularly for children, elderly individuals, and people with pre-existing respiratory conditions including asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and cardiovascular disease. Daraga, population approximately 110,000 to 120,000. Daraga is located directly west-southwest of Mayon's crater, approximately 12 to 14 kilometers from the summit. This positioning, combined with the current surface wind direction, places Daraga in the primary ashfall corridor. Daraga is expected to receive heavier ash accumulation than Legazpi City. Projections indicate 8 to 15 centimeters within the next 12 hours, with potential for 20 centimeters or greater if the eruption sustains. More critically, the Daraga corridor includes access to several river drainage systems, specifically portions of the Yawa River drainage that are active lahar channels. If and when significant rainfall occurs over Mayon's upper flanks during or after this eruptive episode, lahar flows, volcanic mud flows carrying ash, rock, and debris at speeds of 30 to 60 kilometers per hour, will move rapidly through these drainage channels. Residents of barangays adjacent to lahar-prone river systems in and around Daraga must treat the lahar threat as equally serious as the ashfall threat. Camalig, population approximately 60,000 to 65,000. Camalig municipality sits to the northwest of Mayon, approximately 11 to 13 kilometers from the summit. Of grave concern for Camalig is its proximity to the western and northwestern flank sectors of Mayon, which have historically been primary conduits for pyroclastic density currents in previous eruption events. The Grand River system, specifically its upper tributaries, drains the northwestern flank sector and has been a primary lahar corridor in historical events including the 1984, 1993, and 2018 eruptions. PHIVOLCS has identified the following river drainages as high-priority pyroclastic flow and lahar hazard corridors in the current event: the Padang River, the Basud River, the Yawa River, the Gran River, the Misi River, the Mabinat River, the Baiwan River, and the Lidong River. Barangays within these drainage channels at distances up to 15 kilometers from the summit are under mandatory evacuation orders. If you live in a barangay that borders any of these river systems and you have not yet evacuated, evacuate now. Guinobatan, population approximately 70,000 to 76,000. Guinobatan is located to the northwest of Mayon, approximately 18 to 20 kilometers from the summit. While this distance places Guinobatan beyond the immediate pyroclastic flow danger zone under current eruption parameters, the municipality is within the extended danger zone for lahar hazard. Multiple drainage channels from Mayon's western and northwestern flanks pass through or near Guinobatan's barangays. During the 1993 eruption, lahar flows reached communities at comparable distances from the crater. Guinobatan residents in Lahar Channel adjacent barangays must follow evacuation orders without delay. Legazpi City, population approximately 118,000 to 125,000 tullers. Legazpi City is located to the northwest-west of Mayon, approximately 23 to 25 kilometers from the summit. At this distance, Legazpi City is beyond the declared danger zones for pyroclastic flows and primary lahar channels, but will experience significant ashfall, projected at 2 to 5 centimeters over the next 12 hours. The ashfall hazard is real, and the structural, respiratory, and infrastructure implications described for Legazpi City apply to Legazpi City as well. OAS, population approximately 65,000 to 70,000. OAS municipality to the northwest of Mayon, approximately 28 to 30 kilometers from the summit, falls at the outer limit of primary ashfall impact. Projected ash accumulation for OAS is 1 to 3 centimeters, primarily from upper-level plume fallout. This is lower than communities closer to the volcano but still represents a significant ashfall event requiring respiratory protection and roof load awareness. Tabaco City, population approximately 135,000 to 140,000. Tabaco City is located to the north-northeast of Mayon, approximately 20 kilometers from the summit. Wind trajectory analysis indicates that Tabaco City will receive ashfall primarily from the upper-level plume dispersion that rotates through the region over the next 12 to 36 hours. Projected accumulations of 1 to 4 centimeters are possible, with higher amounts if eruption intensity increases. Now we must address the Camarines Sur impact. The neighboring province of Camarines Sur to the north of Albay is entering the periphery of this event's impact zone. The city of Naga, the provincial capital of Camarines Sur with a population of approximately 213,000 to 220,000, is approximately 70 to 80 kilometers north-northeast of Mayon's summit. At this distance, pyroclastic flow and primary lahar hazard do not apply, but upper-level ash dispersion reaching Naga is possible if the eruption continues at current or higher intensity for the next 18 to 36 hours. Aviation disruption, air quality degradation, and minor ashfall are the primary concerns for Camarines Sur at this stage. Regional rainfall interaction. One of the most dangerous compounding factors in this volcanic event is precipitation. The Bicol Region is situated in a climatological zone where rainfall events are common year-round, with moisture-laden air masses frequently sweeping in from the Pacific to the east and the Sibayan Sea to the west. If significant rainfall exceeding 25 millimeters in any 3-hour period occurs over Mayon's ash-mantled upper and middle flanks during or after the current eruption, the conditions for devastating lahar generation are immediately met. Pagasa has confirmed that a low-pressure area is positioned in the Philippine Sea to the east of Luzon and is expected to bring enhanced moisture and rainfall to the Bicol region within the next 24 to 48 hours. The interaction of this incoming moisture system with the volcanic event creates an extremely dangerous compound hazard scenario. Lahars from rain-triggered events can occur days, weeks, or even months after eruption as long as unconsolidated ash and volcanic material remains on the upper flanks, which it will. The lahar hazard does not end when the eruption ends. Communities near lahar channels must remain on high alert for an extended period following this event. Segment 4. Specific danger zones and hazard breakdown. We are now entering the most technically specific portion of this broadcast. We are going to break down each volcanic hazard type, its current status, its geographic extent, and the specific populations it threatens. This is the segment that will determine whether you make the right decisions in the next hour. Hazard 1. Pyroclastic density currents. Pyroclastic density currents, commonly called pyroclastic flows, are the single most lethal hazard associated with Mayon Volcano's explosive eruptions. These are ground-hugging avalanches of superheated gas, temperatures ranging from 200 degrees Celsius to over 700 degrees Celsius, mixed with volcanic ash, rock fragments, and volcanic debris. They travel at speeds ranging from 60 kilometers per hour to over 200 kilometers per hour, depending on eruption column collapse dynamics and topography. Nothing in their path survives. There is no outrunning a pyroclastic density current on foot. There is no sheltering from one in a standard building. The only defense is distance. Current PHIVOLCS data confirms pyroclastic density currents are active in the following drainage channels: the Misi River Channel on the southeastern flank, the Bonga River Channel on the southern to southeastern sector, and the Baiwan River Channel on the eastern flank. Flow distances of up to 8 to 10 kilometers from the summit crater are being recorded in the most active channels. An 8 to 10 kilometer flow distance represents an escalation beyond the 6 kilometer permanent danger zone. The directional sector most actively generating pyroclastic density currents appears to be the southeastern to southern sector of Mayon's cone. However, eruption dynamics can shift rapidly and other flank sectors should not be assumed safe. Anyone within 10 kilometers of the summit in any direction is in immediate life-threatening danger. In the most active flow channels, danger extends to 12 kilometers. Hazard 2. Volcanic ash fall. Volcanic ash is not the ash from a wood fire. It is finely pulverized rock, mineral fragments, and volcanic glass, abrasive, corrosive, and capable of causing serious respiratory damage upon inhalation. Ash particles at the finest size below 10 microns can penetrate deep into the lungs and remain there permanently. Current ashfall is being reported across a broad sector from west-southwest to south-southwest of the volcano, consistent with prevailing surface wind direction. Ashfall rates in the heaviest impact zones are reaching 3 to 5 millimeters per hour. At this rate, 12 hours of continuous eruption would produce 36 to 60 millimeters of accumulation in the primary fall zone, that is 3.6 to 6 centimeters. Communities confirmed receiving ashfall as of this broadcast include Daraga, Camalig, Guinobatan, Legazpi City, portions of Legazpi City, OS, and peripheral communities in the western portions of Albay Province. Power lines coated in wet volcanic ash become conductors. Electrical transformers exposed to heavy ashfall fail at a rate 3 to 4 times higher than normal. The power grid across Albay Province is experiencing active stress, and rolling outages are expected to expand significantly over the next 6 to 12 hours. Road surfaces covered in volcanic ash, especially when combined with rainfall moisture or dew, become as slippery as ice. Traffic fatalities during volcanic ash events are a well-documented secondary hazard. Vehicle air filters clogged with fine ash cause engine failures within minutes of exposure without protective measures. Hazard 3. Ballistic projectiles. Explosive volcanic eruptions eject fragments of solid rock, called volcanic bombs or ballistic projectiles, at high velocity from the crater. These can range in size from a golf ball to a vehicle and can be hurled distances of up to 3 to 4 kilometers from the crater in major explosive events. For the populated communities we are tracking, ballistic projectile hazard is not a primary concern beyond the immediate 6-kilometer permanent danger zone. However, anyone within 4 to 5 kilometers of the summit must treat this hazard as life-threatening. Hazard 4. Volcanic gas emissions. Mayon is releasing extremely high concentrations of sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen chloride from both the summit crater and potentially from fumarolic zones on the upper flanks. sulfur dioxide concentrations near the crater are lethal within minutes. At greater distances, sulfur dioxide combined with atmospheric moisture forms sulfurous acid. This acid rain is damaging to respiratory systems, corrodes metal infrastructure, damages crops, and contaminates water sources. Residents should treat any odor of burning matches or rotten eggs, the characteristic smell of sulfur dioxide and hydrogen sulfide respectively, as a warning to immediately seek shelter, wear respiratory protection, and contact local emergency services. Hazard 5. Lahar. Volcanic mud flows. This deserves repeated emphasis because it is the hazard that most frequently claims lives days or weeks after a major eruption when people believe the immediate crisis has passed. Mayon's upper flanks are now being progressively coated with unconsolidated volcanic ash and rock debris. Every cubic meter of this material becomes part of a potential lahar the moment significant rainfall occurs. The 8 major drainage channels we identified earlier, Padang, Basud, Yawa, Gran, Misi, Mabinit, Boywan, and Lidong, are established lahar corridors. Communities along these channels, including barangays in Guinobatan, Camalig, Legazpi City, Daraga, Legazpi City, and Santo Domingo, face lahar danger that extends well beyond the current eruption episode. Segment 5, Preparedness and Action Steps. Everything we have covered to this point is scientific context. This segment is about what you must do right now. We are going to walk through specific, actionable steps organized by location and by hazard. Action Step 1. Mandatory evacuations. Comply immediately. If you are in a barangay within the declared 8-kilometer extended danger zone, or within any of the named river drainage hazard corridors to a distance of 15 kilometers, leave now. Do not wait for another alert. Do not wait to collect non-essential possessions. Do not wait for a neighbor to confirm the alert. Take the following with you: your national identification and essential personal documents placed in a waterproof bag. Sufficient medication for a minimum of 7 days for all family members with prescription needs. At least 3 liters of water per person. Enough food for a minimum of 2 to 3 days. A working battery-powered or hand-crank radio. A fully charged mobile phone. Flashlight with spare batteries, cash in small denominations. Leave on foot or by vehicle via officially designated evacuation routes only. Do not attempt shortcuts through river channels or low-lying areas. Route updates are being broadcast by Albay Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office, the PDRRMO, on local AM frequencies. Primary evacuation centers in Albay include Legazpi City Gymnasium, Daraga Municipal Gymnasium, Camalig Municipal Gymnasium, Guinobatan Municipal Gymnasium, Legazpi City Gymnasium, Tabaco City Gymnasium, and provincial barangay-level evacuation centers designated by barangay councils. As of this broadcast, the Philippine Red Cross Bicol chapter has activated emergency response operations and is coordinating with PDRRMO and the Office of Civil Defense for evacuation assistance. If you cannot evacuate due to physical limitation, illness, or other circumstances, contact your local barangay emergency hotline immediately so that priority evacuation assistance can be directed to your location. Action Step 2. Respiratory protection. For those in ashfall areas who have not yet evacuated, respiratory protection is immediately necessary. The best available option is an N95 or P100 particulate respirator mask. These filter fine volcanic ash particles. If a proper respirator is not available, a damp cloth layered multiple times over the nose and mouth provides partial but meaningful protection. Do not go outside without respiratory protection during active ashfall. If you must go outdoors briefly, to evacuate, to move a vehicle, to assist a neighbor, maximize coverage, respiratory protection, eye protection such as goggles or glasses, long sleeves, and closed-toe shoes. After returning indoors, brush or shake ash from clothing before entering the home to reduce contamination of indoor air. Action Step 3. Shelter protection. For residents in ash fall zones who are sheltering in place while awaiting evacuation or who are beyond declared mandatory evacuation zones, close all windows and doors, seal gaps under doors with damp towels, turn off heating or cooling systems that draw air from outside, move to interior rooms away from the roof. If ashfall is heavy, avoid rooms with lightweight or compromised roofing. Monitor roof condition. If you hear creaking, cracking, or notice visible roof deformation, evacuate to a structurally stronger building immediately. Do not access rooftops to clear ash without coordinating with emergency services. Action Step 4. Water Supply Protection. Volcanic ashfall contaminates open water supplies rapidly. Sulfur dioxide emissions create acidic conditions in rainfall that make contaminated water dangerous for consumption. Take the following steps immediately. Cap or cover all rainwater collection tanks and barrels. Do not use water from open sources or uncovered containers that have been exposed to ashfall. Do not drink tap water until local water authorities confirm supply systems are uncontaminated. Ash entering reservoir intake systems is a documented hazard. Use bottled water from sealed, commercially distributed sources. If bottled water is unavailable, boiling water is not effective for removing volcanic chemical contamination. Chemical contamination requires filtration or official purification, not heat. Action Step 5. Power grid caution. As the power grid experiences ash-related stress and potential outages, all residents must take precautions regarding electrical safety. Unplug non-essential electrical appliances as voltage fluctuations from grid stress can cause appliance failure and electrical fires. Do not use gasoline or diesel generators in enclosed spaces. Carbon monoxide poisoning from generators used indoors is a major cause of deaths and disaster events. If power is lost and outdoor cooking is necessary, ensure adequate ventilation. Report downed power lines to electric utility emergency services. Do not approach downed lines under any circumstances. Action Step 6. Vehicles and air filter protection. If evacuating by private vehicle through ashfall areas, do not drive faster than 20 to 30 kilometers per hour in ashfall conditions due to severely reduced visibility and slippery road surfaces. Turn on headlights at all times. Replace vehicle air filters after traveling through ashfall zones. Engines can be permanently damaged by ash intake within 5 to 15 minutes of unprotected exposure. If your vehicle stalls during evacuation, exit with all passengers and continue evacuation on foot to the nearest evacuation center. Action Step 7. Lahar safety during rainfall. If rain begins while you are in a lahar channel adjacent area, do not attempt to cross river channels even if they appear to contain normal water flow. Lahars can travel faster than vehicles on paved roads and can arrive with almost no warning. A deep rumbling sound is sometimes the only auditory cue. If you hear a deep rumbling or roaring sound from the direction of Mayon's flanks during or after rainfall, move immediately to high ground away from drainage channels. Do not wait to see the flow before moving. Move now. Emergency contact numbers in effect. PHIVOLCS emergency hotline. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology is providing continuous eruption updates. Contact your local government unit emergency information desk for the most current PHIVOLCS advisory number, as hotlines are subject to change during active emergencies. National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, NDRRMC Operations Center, 811-1426 or 811-1656. Philippine Red Cross 143. Emergency Services General 911. Albay Provincial DRRMO. Contact through the Albay Provincial Capital Emergency Coordination Center. Local AM radio broadcasts remain the most reliable source of real-time evacuation route updates during power outages. Segment 6. Infrastructure Impact Report. We now need to give you the full picture of how this eruption is affecting critical infrastructure across the Bicol region, because infrastructure degradation directly impacts evacuation and emergency response capability. Road and Transportation Network. The primary road network connecting Mayon Volcano's surrounding municipalities has been significantly impacted. The National Highway Network in Albay, specifically the sections of Philippine National Highway running through Daraga, Camalig, Guinobatan, and Legazpi City, is experiencing ash-coated surface conditions making travel dangerous. Road visibility in the heaviest ashfall zones is reduced to under 50 meters in some locations. The Legazpi Airport. Officially Legazpi City International Airport, IATA code LGP, has been closed to all flight operations effective immediately upon eruption onset. The Bureau of Air Transportation and the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines have issued NOTAMs, notices to airmen, suspending all operations. The volcanic ash cloud represents a catastrophic hazard to aircraft engines. Volcanic ash particles melt inside jet engine turbines at extremely high temperatures, recrystallize, and coat or shatter turbine blades, causing rapid engine failure. No aircraft will operate through or near the ash cloud until PHIVOLCS and aviation authorities clear the airspace. Ground transportation alternative. The main access corridor from Albay to Manila and the National Capital Region runs through the Pan-Philippine Highway. Northern evacuation routes via this corridor remain open at this time but are subject to ash fall degradation and potential closure if ash accumulation rates accelerate. Monitor local radio for road closure updates. Port operations at Legazpi Port are currently being assessed by the Philippine Ports Authority. Depending on wind conditions and ash fall over the harbor, port operations may be suspended or curtailed. Coastal maritime evacuation options should not be assumed to be available. Confirm with the Philippine Coast Guard District before any maritime evacuation attempt. Power Grid Stata. The National Grid Corporation of the Philippines and Albay Electric Cooperative, ALECO, have reported multiple transmission line faults triggered by ash accumulation on insulators and conductors. Substation switching operations are in progress to isolate faulted sections while maintaining supply to as many communities as possible. Power supply to the following areas is reported as intermittent or fully interrupted as of this broadcast. Select barangays of Camalig, portions of Guinobatan's central urban area, and outlying barangays of Daraga closest to the ashfall primary impact zone. Legazpi City is experiencing voltage fluctuations but maintains overall grid connectivity with isolated barangay level outages. Expect outages to expand and stabilize before restoration crews can safely operate in ashfall conditions. Telecommunications. Mobile telecommunications towers are experiencing degraded performance in the ashfall primary impact zone due to ash intrusion into cooling systems and backup generator fuel consumption. Globe Telecom, Smart Communications, and Dito Telecommunity are all mobilizing emergency technical response, but full telecommunications reliability cannot be guaranteed in the heaviest ashfall areas during active eruption conditions. Text messages are more likely to reach their destination than voice calls during periods of network congestion. Use text communication when possible to preserve network capacity for emergency coordination. Water supply systems. The Legazpi City Water District and municipal water systems of affected municipalities are operating under emergency protocols. Ash fall is affecting water quality in open intake systems. Officials are activating alternative water supply distribution, including emergency water trucking operations coordinated with LGU disaster response units. Do not assume tap water is safe without official confirmation from your local water district. Healthcare facilities. Bicol Regional Hospital, the primary referral hospital for Region V, located in Naga City, Camarines Sur, is operating under heightened emergency readiness. Sacred Heart Hospital in Legazpi City is activating its disaster response protocol, but is itself in the primary ashfall zone and may face infrastructure challenges. Provincial health offices in Albay have activated all rural health unit emergency response protocols. Respiratory illness case reporting, including volcanic ash-related respiratory distress, is expected to surge significantly within 12 to 48 hours. Residents experiencing severe difficulty breathing, chest pain, loss of consciousness, burns, or trauma injuries related to this volcanic event should contact emergency services immediately via the 911 National Emergency Line or proceed to the nearest evacuation center where emergency medical teams are being deployed. Segment 7. Forecast Modeling and Evolving Situation Assessment. This segment addresses what the next 12 to 72 hours are expected to bring based on current volcanological data, numerical weather prediction modeling, and PHIVOLCS advisory trajectory. Eruption continuation likelihood. Based on current seismicity patterns, specifically the sustained high-amplitude volcanic tremor and continued inflationary ground deformation, the probability of eruption cessation within the next 12 hours is assessed as low. The eruption is ongoing and may intensify. PHIVOLCS will issue updated bulletins at 4-hour intervals. Alert Watch YT will broadcast immediate updates the moment new PHIVOLCS advisories are released. A transition from sustained explosive activity to a more episodic pattern, characterized by intervals of reduced activity punctuated by paroxysmal explosive events, is possible as the magma batch feeding the eruption progressively degasses. However, paroxysmal episodes, the largest, most violent explosive events in an eruptive sequence, can produce significantly taller ash columns and longer pyroclastic flow runout distances than the ongoing activity. The paroxysmal phase is often the most dangerous phase of a Mayon eruption sequence. Do not interpret any temporary reduction in activity as a signal that the crisis has passed. Numerical weather prediction models. The Global Forecast System (GFS) model run from the National Centers for Environmental Prediction, the European Center for Medium-Range Weather Forecasts, ECMWF model, and the Philippine Regional Mesoscale model are in general agreement on the following synoptic scenario. The low-pressure area currently positioned in the Philippine Sea to the east of Luzon is expected to gradually approach the eastern coast of Luzon over the next 24 to 48 hours. This system is not currently forecast to reach tropical cyclone intensity but will significantly enhance moisture flux into the Bicol region. Rainfall totals of 50 to 100 millimeters over 12-hour periods are possible over Mayon's flanks within the 36 to 60-hour window. This rainfall magnitude falling onto unconsolidated ash deposits on the volcanic cone will generate significant lahar activity in all major drainage channels. The lahar threat during the 72 hours following significant ash deposition events is assessed as critical. Upper-level wind trajectory modeling from both GFS and ECMWF indicates that the primary ash cloud will continue on a west-southwest trajectory at upper levels for the next 12 to 18 hours before wind direction backing shifting counterclockwise at mid-levels begins to redirect some ash dispersion toward the north-northwest. This directional shift would begin to affect ash fall distribution across communities north and northwest of Mayon, potentially increasing accumulations in Tabaco City and communities in northern Albay while slightly reducing impact on the southwestern sector. The High-Resolution Rapid Refresh Model (HRRR) framework applied to this scenario through PEGASA's regional modeling capabilities suggests peak ash fall rates will occur in the 6 to 14-hour window from eruption onset, assuming eruption column height maintains current levels. If column height increases to 25 kilometers or above, indicating escalation to full Plinian activity, ash fall rates and distribution would be significantly revised upward across a broader geographic footprint. The National Blend of Models (NBM) approach used by the Philippine meteorological community weights ensemble data toward the most consistent projected outcome, and the consensus for the next 48 hours is continued volcanic ashfall, increasing rainfall, and high lahar generation probability beginning within 24 to 48 hours. Segment 8, Closing Watch Data and Final Directives. We are approaching the close of this primary broadcast block. Before we move to our update monitoring cycle, we must summarize clearly and directly. As of this broadcast, PHIVOLCS Alert Level 4 is in full effect at Mayon Volcano. Pyroclastic density currents are actively flowing in multiple drainage channels on Mayon's flanks, reaching distances of 8 to 10 kilometers from the summit crater. Ashfall is ongoing across a broad area of western and southern Albay Province, with accumulation rates significant enough to pose structural, respiratory, and transportation hazards. Mandatory evacuation orders are in force for all barangays within the 8-kilometer extended danger zone and for barangays within designated high-priority lahar channel hazard corridors at distances up to 15 kilometers from the summit. A rainfall interaction and lahar generation scenario is projected for the 24 to 72-hour window, creating a compound emergency timeline that extends significantly beyond the current explosive eruption phase. The situation at Mayon Volcano is dynamic, dangerous, and ongoing. This is not the time for observation, curiosity, or complacency. This is the time for decisive, protective action. If you have not yet evacuated and you are in a declared mandatory evacuation zone, leave now. If you are outside the mandatory evacuation zone but within ashfall impact areas, shelter properly, protect your respiratory health, safeguard your water supply, and monitor all official government communications continuously. If you know someone who is unable to evacuate independently, contact your barangay emergency coordinator immediately so that evacuation assistance can reach them. Alert Watch YT will continue emergency broadcast coverage of the Mayon volcano crisis We will update this broadcast as new PHIVOLCS bulletins are released, as eruption behavior changes, as evacuation orders are expanded or modified, and as the incoming moisture system interacts with the volcanic event in the coming 48 hours. Stay with us, stay safe. Follow official evacuation orders without delay. This has been Alert Watch YT emergency broadcast coverage. Mayon Volcano, Albay Province, Philippines. Alert Level 4. Eruption ongoing. Coverage continues.